Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR104U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Das Delivered. I'm your host, Truck and Ray, and today we're welcoming back another special guest that we had on the show, John Rojas. He helped the podcast get started. We really appreciate his participation coming on and talking about what he has to offer there for the drivers of all kinds that are looking for a CDL, but there's more to it. John's been doing big things since then. He's been working hard, building his consulting business and developing a driver proficiency tool and continuing to shape the future of trucking through his work at Bumper to Bumper Easy CDL School. We're excited to catch up and hear what's been going on and to learn how he's helping drivers navigate the changes of the industry, including the new FMCSA enforcement coming down the road. So we welcome John to the show. John, welcome back. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic, Ray. Thank you so much for having me again. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad I'm able to keep this thing going and helping people learn about what's out there and help them stay abreast as to what's going on in the industry. I mean, there's changes that are happening with the administration. There's quite a few changes that have taken places. But first of all, I wanted to see kind of go in full circle as what's going on with you and how are you doing? What's new on your side?
Well, again, congratulations on the podcast. You're doing a fantastic job. I've been watching every episode, and you're doing fantastic. And thank you for spreading the word out there. Number one, um, I'm excited to be back on the show. I can't believe it's been that long since we've done this in the past. Gosh, it's almost a year ago already. So. But no, as far as full circle goes, the industry's never boring. We always got something going on, right?
Right. That's awesome, man. And there's a lot of changes that have happened lately. What's one thing that's stayed consistent for you in the industry? One thing that that people can always rely on.
Well, training's always a big aspect, training is always a huge subject as far as making sure that your drivers are well informed, they are they're safe out on the roads, and the biggest thing right now is this regulation for the English language proficiency. That that rule that regulation has been around for a long time. Um, it's not new. I mean, the only new thing about it is that it's to be enforced now. Many states just kind of were very very laxed on that and allowed drivers to communicate in their own language or their in Spanish or whatever the case may be. But now that this regulations and has come into par, drivers are kind of caught in the middle of it, and it's a shame because there's a lot of good drivers out there that just prefer it or more comfortable with their own language, which I understand that. Uh, Me coming from an education side, as far as the training school goes, we came across that a lot. We've always offered our program in English only, but we received a lot of folks that were predominantly spoke Spanish. So we basically interviewed them and let them know, hey, look, the class is in English. Where are you at as far as being able to communicate it with it because you're not going to be able to just get everything in Spanish. Or as far as the drivers go, it's unfortunate because they're caught in the middle of it. They could be the best driver out there, but they don't speak English very well, and that's misfortunate. So what we've done is, we put together a program that will allow them to practice trucking terms. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's popping up with just like signage and just bare minimum stuff to just try to get these folks by on a vehicle inspection. And I'll tell you what, we went above and beyond because we took every trucking term that you could possibly think of. You got thousands of terms to where a driver can actually pull up a specific term and learn the English version and Spanish version And then we made it fun to where it's actually like a game too, to where not only can they just utilize the glossary part, but they can go into the activities, and they can even either use flashcards, they could utilize a, a crossword puzzle, or the fun one is the talk version, to where you actually have to pronounce it and say it correctly in order to get credit and move to the next level. It's very cool. But the way it's designed is it's on the driver goes at their own pace. You know, there's no hurry, there's no grading. This is a tool to help them learn that and be familiar. Because if they are caught on an inspection, you know, roadside inspection, they can't use any aids. You know, they can't use a translator. You can't go, you know, you need to memorize this stuff and learn it. So we find it very important to make sure that we try to help these folks. So not only do we have Dale Glossero, but we also work with schools, colleges across the country, to where they have programs for adult literacy, to where sometimes they're even free. So if they need help, they let us know what area they're at. We can pretty much put them in contact with someone that can help them that next step. You know, the trucking terms, hey, we got that. But when it comes down to actual taking classes for English and stuff, we might be able to help them as far as direct them to the right person or the right um, program in their area.
Nice. And what's the name of it again?
El Glosario.
All right.
El
Now
Glosario.
I brush up on that for myself. Yeah,
But yeah, we're very excited. Our team spent a lot of time on it, and again, the main thing is we want it to be a good learning environment for folks that want to do it. You know, they could just have it on their device. It's a yearly subscription to where they can get on as they have time and go in and practice those terms that they're most commonly using. So if
nice.
they are caught, they're comfortable speaking those terms.
Nice. And that'll make them a better driver and also help the industry as well to keep going with the driver shortage or driver retention. So that's going to definitely be a great tool. I'm glad that you guys took upon yourself to do that. I mean, that's really good. Good. What prompted you guys to do that? Was there a particular situation that happened, or was there something that brought it to your attention to say, "Hey, this is important"?
Well, you know, this was created years ago when a lot of the employers were looking at recruiting Spanish drivers and bringing them on, just because it was just such a huge demand. So we created the El Glosero back then with our La Guia. We have the bumper to bumper textbook that's in the Spanish version. So we added the glossary to that to help these folks out. So we took that out of production as far as the handbook goes, just because of the cost of printing them out and that sort of thing. And you know, electronic is the way to go now. Most of our users are utilizing some type of device. So we went ahead and we don't have the handbooks in production anymore, but El Glossero can be purchased online now, to where they could utilize the learning platform.
So where can drivers or fleet owners access this tool? Is it online or part of the course? Is it
Yep,
available
you can
through
just absolutely. You can just go to our website. I'll get you that information where you can put that on there. But just easycdl-online.com.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
And man, you're also doing consulting. You're helping people also inspiring, start offering this services for drivers and companies to help them with your expertise as well. Let's tell us about that too.
Yeah, on the consulting side, interesting. You know, since I retired from the college, I still have a love for the industry. So we talk to a lot of folks, whether it be employers or training providers, public and private. So on the consulting side, we get a lot of calls on compliance. You know, we actually have gone in and helped some schools that thought they were doing it right, to where they got in trouble or they got questioned. So we went in and evaluated their program, gave them some tips, and in some cases even revamped their curriculum, just to make sure that they're doing everything that FMCSA requires for entry level driver training, from the theory to the skills portion. You know, a lot of schools. I mean, they they like to train to pass, you know, to pass the test. And the FMCSA ELDT goes way more above and beyond that. So there's a lot of things that you have to teach and cover besides just passing the CDL exam. um, for their driver's license test. So that's where a lot of folks fall short. So we love getting those calls. We try to get folks on the right path, and to where they're successful and they're going to be around.
Nice. Can you share a success story from your consulting experience that made you feel like, this is why I do this?
Well, absolutely. We work with training providers and employers, but just most recently, without saying any names, just client confidentiality, but just without calling out their name. But I had an employer that's they're pretty large employer that had their own training program that kind of got nicked, and they had to go in and prove that they were teaching all requirements for the skills portion. Well, when we went in and dug in, they were missing quite a bit. They only were training about 70% of what's they're supposed to. So we went in and revamped that for them and got them on track, and they're up and going again. Made some adjustments to the length of their program, the equipment that they were using, even the instructors that they hire, making sure that they're credentialed. So uh, got them on track, and they're happy as can be and doing very well and filling those seats.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we got to take care of the young ones. We got to take care of the entry drivers so that they can be prepared when they're out on the road and performing, that they're also representing the industry well. So I appreciate you do the work and you do it thorough. I think you do a great job. You're known in the industry very well. So keep up the great work with that. The consulting business, I think it's going to be a great asset for a lot of companies that need that help. So I hope they seek that out. Where can they find that as well?
Yeah, it's on. You can go to our website and reach out to us anytime. They could even, well, my information's on there, or they can call the office, and we will get back to them, set up a consultation to where we can figure out how we can help and go from there.
Sweet. So
Yeah.
speaking of the FMCSA and compliance, I'm kind of wanted to see if you knew any updated information, maybe it could help the listeners, speaking on what changes are upcoming or enforcement policies that drivers can really pay attention to right now. What do you see them focusing on and changing on and within the next year or two, and how can drivers stay ahead?
Haven't seen. Now it's been kind of quiet as far as any kind of new regulations with the new administration. They kind of challenged. Uh, not creating so much more regulations and seeing where they can, if they're going to implement new ones, what are they going to take out? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of frozen right now, Ray. Uh, but right now, I can tell you this: a lot of the things that we're really concentrating on the educational side is the entry level driver training. Um, Training provider registry to where FMCSA has a plan of action to make sure the training providers that self-certify that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing are actually doing it. So FMCSA has really stepped up to the plate. I'm members of the Commercial Vehicle Training Association as well as the National Association of Publicly Truck Driving Schools, and we are constantly working with FMCSA to try to make sure that that compliance is being uh, held to the standards. You know what I'm saying? Basically, policing them, auditing these training providers to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because that training provider registry, Ray, is ridiculously large. There's over 36,000 training providers on that registry. Before the ELDT was implemented, there was roughly 1,000. So uh, just about anybody can go on there and fill out that application and check a box and say self-certified. FMCSA has implemented some stricter guidelines as far as reapplying. You're supposed to reapply for your program every couple years, and in those that application to get recertified, they ask a lot more questions, and there's a lot more check boxes that you have to click out, stating that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the next plan is actually having auditors on the ground to where they go out and they'll actually start looking at these programs, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because it's a big problem. It is a really big problem because you have a lot of folks out there that they're offering guaranteed CDLs, guaranteed in 2 days. I mean, it's not good, and those are the kind of folks that don't need to be in our industry.
Yeah. I mean, you see it all the time on social media, videos. They're just horrific videos of accidents that are taking place, and
Yep.
education is a huge part of that. So, what do you say to drivers out there when they see that type of clickbait? What would you say?
Ask questions, especially if you're someone looking at getting into the industry. If you see something that's too good to be true, it probably is. Free training, really cheap training, that sort of thing. That should automatically set off a red flag for you. But ask a lot of questions. My advice is number one, hey, ask them if you can come visit their school. You want to look at their equipment. Ask them who they work with as far as employers go. Okay. You ask those 3 questions right there, that's already gonna make them aware that, hey, you're doing your research and you're not an easy buck. So, those 3 if you ask those 3 questions, that's gonna let you have a better determination if that's the right school for you. I highly recommend going to a provider that's been around that actually has a solid curriculum that they could show. They should have a student handbook to where you can come in. They'll give you a tour of their facilities and see their equipment. And they should have a long list of employers that are just lining up to hire their students. So that would be my recommendation because the the worst thing you could do is, pay someone a cheap fee and be out of that money, and you're going to end up paying the cost for CDL training somewhere else just so you can get a decent job.
Yeah, we definitely got to keep the standard up,
Mhm.
not it going down low because it's
Mhm.
not helping anybody. They're just taking the money. So I
Mhm.
mean, you're pretty involved in bumper to bumper easy CDL school with the training next generation of drivers through bumper to bumper easy CDL school. What's on the new front for bumper to bumper easy CDL?
Well, we work with training providers all over. Most of our clients do utilize our system and manage it in house. It's custom designed for them, so they manage it. The individuals that actually come to us that we help and then we point them in the right direction because we don't do the skills training. So we have partners all over the country to where give a referral to the training provider in your area to where you can get the skills portion done. It really just depends on what's best for you. But what are we doing? We're constantly looking at making our training platform better. So we're always looking at improving. Some of the new things is just being more engaged, keeping students engaged in the learning environment. That way, they're learning and retaining the information. Our program is just not one of those, hey, click here and be done with it in a couple hours. Our program for theory is equivalent to a 40-hour lecture. And it's very, very thorough. And we'd rather do that than cut corners. We want the drivers, the new entry level guys coming in, to be well informed to where they can go out there and be successful in the industry. Because as you know it doesn't take much to go out there and mess up your driving record, and then you're not hireable anymore.
Absolutely. Um, have you made any curriculum or program changes recently that you're based on seeing it out there in the field? Because I know you get to go to a lot of seminars and talk to a lot of different people. What changes have you been able to implement?
Not so much curriculum changes. We haven't because the material really hasn't needed to change much. Uh, I can tell you this on some of the program side. There's some neat stuff that's out there. There's just more engaging, more videos, more illustrations, just more hands-on instead of just watching a video and then taking a test. We want those folks to be engaged through the whole thing. So we have some new things that we're putting out soon in the near future to get to where the students actually working, taking those quiz questions or practice questions throughout the program to where it's not just, hey, turn the video on, watch the video for 15, 40 minutes, whatever video it is, and then they just take a quiz. We're looking at changing that up. So that's some of the things that we're looking at, and then technology as well. So we want to make sure that our stuff's compatible with all the new stuff coming up. So it's a constant challenge to make sure that you stay ahead of the game.
Nice. So yeah, if you can, just I think a tip for drivers out there is create a LinkedIn for yourself. Have a professional background that you're able to be a part of and create your network there and grow. See other professionals in the industry that want to elevate it and do better, even just for health reasons. I think that's also great too, so you can be successful. So, any other tips or advice for drivers out there starting out? Or what would you say to them?
Well, again, safety is everything. Don't ever get complacent as far as your vehicle inspection. That's where a lot of uh, incidents happen to where we're used to our equipment. We're like, I don't need to check that today. You know what I mean? So that's usually when you get a brake failure or tire blowout or something like that. Just don't be complacent with just your truck. I mean, make sure that you constantly doing your vehicle inspection. Check those air brakes. And if you're working for a smaller company and the equipment is subpar, don't be afraid to speak up. Remember, you're the driver of that truck. When you start that truck up and you go down the road, that's your responsibility. You're the one that's supposed to make sure that that vehicle's safe before putting it out on our public roadways. And I talk to so many drivers to where they're just they're insecure about their abilities, or they don't want to cause waves because that truck, they know that it needs to be some repairs, but that's the only one available and they have to work. Don't do it. It ain't worth it. All it takes is one accident for you to lose your life, someone else's life, or again your driving record's going to be affected by this. So make sure your vehicles are inspected well and they're well maintained before you put them out on the road.
Nice. Great advice. Um, Makes me want to go out and do a pre-trip right now. I like that. Yeah, so that is important. You get complacent, especially if you're getting in the same truck all the time, and then when something happens, nobody cares that you didn't do it. You're gonna
Mhm.
pay the cost, even if it's just paperwork in the truck. I've heard of people getting caught up with that too, just
Mhm.
not having the proper documentation in the vehicle. So
Yep.
we got to stay alert. We got to do our job. The public is depending on us. America is depending on us. So to get the job done right, and they pay us to be safe, not to be fast.
That's right.
And it's kind of balance there, I know. But
Mm.
man, thanks again for coming on the show, talking about the glossary. You would say in Spanish.
Yep. El Glosario.
Glosario. Yeah,
El Glosario. You got it.
I'm trying, man. That's one of my personal goals. Bucket list. That'd be something if I can learn Spanish, man. I'll be proficient in
We'll
Spanish.
get you some credentials. You can get in and start practicing, Ray.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate you doing this, taking the time out to talk to people and help encourage people to do the right thing, and also enlighten them as all the great things you guys are doing over there at Bumper to Bumper Easy CDL. So whether you're helping the driver stay compliant, teaching the next generation, or just finding better ways to level up in the trucking industry, you're doing a great work, and we really appreciate it. So we look for those links. I'll put those in the notes for the listeners. And that's pretty much all we have for today. So enjoy that weather over there.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ray. I appreciate it. I wish you well. You be safe out there as well, Mister
Try to stay
Ishwan.
cool. Man, looks like the weather is going to keep you going there. Texas don't play.
The heat index is only 109 today, so it's not that bad.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much. And listeners out there, stay safe out on the road. Keep rolling, moving forward. And we'll catch you next time on another episode of That's Delivered.
Thank you. Take care.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.